competitions, online demos, and workshops like today's program. This is an affirmation of FOT's commitment to spread its mission of green world, ecology, and environment. FOT now reaches out to its members and world at large through its own website, www.fot.org.in, and has also made its presence felt on social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc. We would now like to ask the Managing Committee member, Ms. Vijaya Chakravarti, to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm delighted to be here and welcome all of you on behalf of National Society of the Friends of Trees, affectionately called FOT of Friends of Trees. And it was a lovely introduction. Thank you very much. FOT was started in 1957 when India was newly independent, just a decade after independence. And that was the time when the concentration was on development. So felling of trees or cutting down forests was the norm. So people never gave a second thought to cutting trees. But it was then that our pioneers and stalwarts who started FOT were visionaries, and they had a faraway thought when in future destruction of trees would have a catastrophic effect. So we're very grateful to our stalwarts, and we are all equally grateful to Dr. Firoza Godrej and Dr. Ashok Kothari, who are leading us now during the pandemic days and unprecedented times, which none have seen before. You know, more than 100 years ago, we had a pandemic, and but the pandemic has given us great opportunities. And now for the first time, we plan to go virtual and continue with our exhibition. For the last 64 years, we have been having an exhibition to inculcate the love of trees and plants in the general population. And we are going to continue it by going virtual. And by going virtual, we hope to connect with not only our members, but also new hobbyists, new organizations, and people who are like-minded and have similar objectives. Today we have a wonderful lecture by Mr. Harshad Ainapure. It is in 2020. They said 20 million new gardeners have come up. 20 million people across the world have taken up gardening as a hobby. So this is the correct webinar and it's the need of the hour. And I congratulate FOT and the team from St. Xavier's who is taking us on to this new venture. And I congratulate Mr. Harshad Ainapure and welcome him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving forward, today's session is taken by Harshad Ainapure, who is a botanist by education, horticulturalist by profession, and a true gardener at heart. He has been exploring the magical world of plants for the last 13 years, primarily through teaching and training. Currently, he is a director at Nature First Horticultural Consultancy and Services. It's both an honor and privilege to have him here today. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, all. I am really honored to conduct this workshop. Basically, I have connection with both FOT and Xavier's. I've done my master's in botany from Xavier's only. And since 2003, for last 18 years, I have been attending FOT exhibitions. So many of us, like me, actually got our inspiration from FOT to pursue gardening. When we see so many plants together, we get mesmerized, and this is what we want to do. Because in botany, as we
Harshad,
study plants.
Harshad,
yes.
1 second.
Yes.
Somebody has to mute their YouTube. Somebody has to check out of their YouTube. Anuja, please log out of your YouTube. Whoever's sharing.
Ma'am, I'm not sharing it.
Am I audible?
Yeah, I think we are done. Yeah, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, yes. So basically, in botany, we study plants, we do research on plants, but it's because of the exhibitions like FOT, we were encouraged to grow plants. So I have been growing plants for a long time. I've been growing vegetables and medicinal plants and ornamental plants. I got my own experimental farm and nursery. And since today's topic, the gardening itself is a vast topic. Today we'll be focusing on home gardening, and today we'll be focusing on this current summer season, which is summer. So what all of us, all the fellow gardeners, can do in coming 3 months, the plants, whether you have your plants in your balcony, in the window, in terrace, or in a yard, what are the things that we are supposed to do now? We are going to have a look at that. Okay, so I would present my screen now. So we go through certain stuff. We go through some. I got a presentation which we can see initially before I actually show them more. Okay, I hope the presentation is there. And the summer activities, that's what we're going to talk about. Now, as I have been introduced that I do all my activities under Nature First. And this all comes under anybody interested. Yeah, everybody are attending workshop right now. But anybody interested in reading the literature, they should look for literature on ornamental plant gardening. So there's some very good Indian books also, very good Indian authors who have written some very nice books on ornamental plants. So basically the plants that we grow at home, plants that we grow as a domesticated plants, whether those are flowering plants or the foliage plants, whether these are, we are growing tulsi or is it any aromatic plants, all these plants which are home garden plants. So basically all that comes under the ornamental plant gardening, because there are other aspects of gardening as well. There is landscaping and there's lawns and so on. So that is the part we will be focusing on, the home gardening part. Now, if you see everyone, garden calendar is a thing which is highly localized. Just like we have academic calendar, or our academic year starts in June, our regular calendar starts in January, our financial year starts in April. Similarly, our gardening season, our annual garden calendar begins in the month of June. Okay, so June to September, that's what we call the monsoon gardening, because for these 4 months, we have tremendous rainfall, particularly in the western. We are from Mumbai, here we get a lot of rainfall. So the wet climate, the different gardening activities are done. Then once the monsoon is over, we have October, which is supposedly a transition season. So in the month of October, we'll be preparing for winter, basically. So we do have something called as October heat. Then November to February is the winter gardening, which is over. As winter is over, basically here in Mumbai and the coastal regions, we don't get much winter. But November to February is the winter gardening activities. And March, April, May, these 3 months are the summer gardening activities month. We are in the March. We are right. The summer is really there. It's on its peak now. And what are the things that we are supposed to do now is very, very important, because some very specific gardening activities that we are supposed to do. Now, obviously, this particular garden calendar is India specific. This is for India, because we get profound monsoon, we get winter, and we get summer. So because if you open any Western books, they talk about these fall, frost, and autumn, and all the snow and everything. We don't have that, right? So let's see the activities before I demonstrate. Summer is a season. This is a season where your main focus should be protecting your plants from the summer heat. Now that's right. You have to protect your plants, and you don't want to put too much pressure on your house plants, or particularly the flowering plants, to perform. You know what I mean? Many people, I am a garden consultant, and many people always complain, my rose is not flowering, my this is not. When I bought it from nursery, it was amazing, it was colorful. मैं घर पे लेके आया, then it stopped flowering. Have I done something wrong? We are going to focus on that part, but pressurizing your plants to perform, as in for displaying their spectacular flowers, this is not the time to put pressure on your plants. Okay, what you want to do is you want to maintain the optimum hydration by watering. You have to do the right watering, because I have seen with the home gardeners, many plants die because of the wrong watering techniques. Many of these plants are overwatered, and some of the plants are even underwatered. So optimum hydration you need to maintain. You have to manage humidity by spraying and syringing. I'm going to show that also. Now, please understand, humidity is in coastal cities like Mumbai, humidity is there. But this because of the climate change, a lot of activities are happening. For example, this season, this summer, the Mumbai part is not getting much humidity. We are experiencing, first time, in fact, we are experiencing a dry summer, a dry heat without humidity. So that's alien for us. So we have to prepare for that. Anybody wants to start composting, home composting, this is the right time to start. You get don't throw away your garbage, use your kitchen waste at your home, make your own fertilizer by composting. So this is the time for the composting. There are a lot of people who have unused pots, old pots, lot of unused soil, just placed just like that in some old containers. You can do the solar sterilization of soil in this season. You can open up that soil, spread it on your terrace or open yard, let it get sterilized so that the weeds and the insects and other pathogens die. You can do that. And summer is a very, very important season for collection. This is a season of collection. So the collection of soil, manure, seeds, pots, tools, and implements. Anybody have to prepare for the gardening. This is a good time for the shopping. Rather than shop for the plants, live plants, which you can do obviously, but the very, very good quality soil, a good quality manure and seeds and every other material you are going to get now. So want to collect soil, do it now. Want to collect manure, do it now. And if you are new to gardening, or if you want to make some changes to your old garden, you want to reshuffle, rearrange plants, you want to change the complexion of your garden, plan your garden now. This is the time for the planning of your garden. Now, this is summer activity of the early summer. Okay? And after a couple of months, when we'll be in the month of May, and by the end of May, we can start our pre-monsoon activities. So after 15th May or in the first week of June, you can start collecting more and more plants. You can do the potting and repotting of your older plants. Okay, you can do the potting of new plants and the repotting of your old plants. And you can do the major seed sowing activities are also done in the later summer. Okay, so this is the time to conserve your plants. This is the time to protect your plants. Okay, so now I will prepare for the demo part. As anybody has any questions, they can directly put in the chat box. We'll be addressing that also. Hold on. Let me just stop the share. Yes. Okay. Now I have some stuff in front of me. Doesn't look like a gardening stuff actually. It's just a cake box. This is just a paper box which you would get cakes. from the bakery shop. And when I open this box, what do I have? I have simply kept few cups, some paper cups. Now these are the paper cups where we actually have chai or coffee. These are the cups from where we have beverages. Now I have made the holes. I have made the holes in the base of the cups. And let me try to focus. Maybe the focus is not very okay. You can see these are the kind of holes that I have made at the base of the cup, because I'll be sowing seeds in these cups, and I am making the drain holes in this cup. Okay, so drain anything that you use for growing plants or sowing seeds. Here I am taking a safety pin and I made the hole. Okay, now my containers, what am I using these containers are? I am requesting all of you to use such kind of things. You also must be having some dip bars and boxes and anything. So I am adding, what I am adding in this is this coco peat. Okay, this is a fibrous soil-like material. Coco peat, also called as coco soil, and I'm adding this coco peat in these cups. Okay, so to sow seeds, what many people do is, so for example, if you have vegetable seeds, if you have flower seeds, if you have any kind of seeds with you, it is better to sow the seeds first in your small home mini nursery. Make your own seedlings and saplings, and then transplant in the monsoon season or before that, so that your seedlings will be much happier when you transplant. Because a lot of people just simply take some seeds and they just sow them in the pot directly, just like that, and they may or may not germinate. This is a lot of there is no guarantee of seed germination. Now I have some seeds here. Let's have a look at the seeds that I have. These are flower seeds. So basically, these are the seeds of zinnia. Let me show what flowers they look like. So here are the seeds of zinnia. This is the zinnia. Then I have these seeds of cosmos. Here's the cosmos, the black colored seeds. These are the seeds of cosmos. And here are the seeds of marigold. Now, zinnia, marigold, and cosmos, these are some of the very few flowers that can actually, I have the courage to grow or sow these seeds in the summer season. Because I already told you, summer is the time to protect your plants, pre-existing plants. But for many of us happen to buy seeds from the market. And so what to do? Very simple thing that you are supposed to do here. So the marigold seeds, I will show the example of marigold seeds. Okay. So I have the marigold seeds and I have these cups that I have filled with the coco peat. And what you are supposed to do is don't be greedy and don't try to sow too many seeds. In the central row, I'll sow the seeds. With your finger or with the pen, we just want to make some just depressions, because it's a little bit dry. Otherwise, just small depressions that you want to make. And you just want to place only 2 to 3 seeds per cup. Here, I'm placing the seeds horizontally, so I increase their chances of germination. Here, only 2 to 3 seeds you want to sow, and sow them away from each other. Don't sow them together. And when you place the seeds like that, here I'm repeating, I'm not using soil here. I'm not using garden soil. I'm rather using the coco peat. Okay. Now the seeds have been sown, as you can see, they have been placed. It's very important that after sowing the seeds like that, you need to cover them up. Okay. So some more coco peat you can put from the top to simply cover them up. Okay. In the similar manner, in other rows, I will be sowing the zinnia and cosmos later. We don't have time right now much. So I'm just telling you that just don't bury your seeds too deep, or don't sow your seeds too shallow. Okay. Just enough cover should be there. Okay. And immediately after seed sowing, we want to water this. So to water this, I am not going to use any bucket or some mug or Indian desi style of watering. No, I have a spray pump, a pressure pump. Okay, you can also use any sprayer which can generate a mist-like spray. You can see here, now it has an adjustable nozzle, and you want to give it a mist-like spray. You can see the water is coming out like a mist. So whenever you sow any seeds, you want to spray the water rather than with the finger or any other mode of watering. Spray will give very proper, even watering. Now, one property of coco peat, why have I used coco peat instead of soil, is coco peat has much higher seed germination rate than the ordinary soil. That's one thing. And secondly, coco peat has a very good water holding capacity. So when I water these containers with the cups with coco peat, they'll hold on to water. Another thing you want to do after seed sowing is you want to cover it up. So that is the reason why I have used the box at first place. So that once I sow my seeds, I cover it. Now this is how you are supposed to do. You use any box, make your own box, make the DIY boxes. But once you sow the seeds, you cover them up. Now once I have covered it, why have I covered it? Because remember one thing, for seeds to germinate, the seeds require darkness, high temperature, and moisture. So darkness you provide by covering. High temperature you can provide just by keeping it indoors, somewhere away from AC, away from fan. Best place to keep such kind of boxes, seed boxes, is on the top of the fridge, where they get extra heat. And that's not okay. So this is what we are supposed to do. Now I have closed it. This will be closed for only 2 days, 48 hours, 2 days. Once 2 days are over, so let's suppose I keep it for 2 days, and for 2 days it will be kept on the top of the fridge. Once that is over, I'll open it up and I'll keep it in the window. Keep it in the window where it will get 2 to 3 hours of sunlight, maybe in the morning or maybe in the evening. Okay. Yes, tulsi plant also can be grown in similar manner. But tulsi is one plant that we have found as a gardener. What I have experienced is baby tulsi seedlings prefer to grow just next to the mother plant in the same pot or surrounding it. If you attempt to grow tulsi like this, there will be germination, but the germination rate will be much lower. Tulsi prefer to grow with the natural selection. Okay. But you can obviously grow tulsi like that. But my recommendation will be to sow the seeds of tulsi in the May ending time, rather than doing it now. Some of the flowers that I have grown this way, but most of the plants you can grow this way. It will be pretty good for you as a success rate, rather than simply sowing the seeds in the container. Now let me prepare for my next practical part, where once your seedling is grown, okay, well, now this takes, once the seedling is grown, whether it's a flower seedling or vegetable seedling, usually these seedlings require, how do we know whether we need to, when do we transplant? When do we transplant once we sow is when either your plant should be 1 month old, or it should have at least minimum 4 leaves. It should have minimum 4 leaves. Okay. So let's have a look at the transplantation thing also. So if you want to grow any plant, now if you have plants at your home, right, I don't recommend a new potting or repotting. I recommend you to do new potting or repotting in the May ending time, at the end of May or June first week. But if you do have some seedlings that you think you must do the potting, you can do it now also. So for the sake of that, I'm showing you this. So I have this pot that I have now. One of the reasons why I'm using plastic pot is I am never going to throw it away, because if you use such kind of material wisely, you can use this season after another. One plant is gone, another plant. Otherwise, best container to grow your plants is obviously the earthen pots. But the availability of earthen pots is difficult nowadays. Handling the earthen pots in our so-called flower beds in our new apartments is not that easy. So we are settling down to the plastic. But if you use the plastic, make sure that you don't damage it and you use it in your home garden only years after years. Okay. Now I have this container. So let's have a look at some of the potting layers that we are supposed to put in that. So your container obviously must have the holes, the drain holes, like this. If you see this one is having the 3-4 drain holes. Drain holes are mandatory. Now as a bottom layer, I am putting some bricks. Okay, these are the broken bricks. Many people like to put stones and pebbles or broken pieces of old earthen pot. That's also good. We have found old bricks more useful because they themselves have the capacity to absorb some water and have the capacity to hold on to water. And bricks are lightweight. They are much lighter than the rocks and pebbles. So bottom layer is the bricks. This much is enough to cover the drain holes. Now what I have observed is many people directly put the soil in this. Okay, so my recommendation would be not to put soil directly on the layer of this potting bricks or the drainage layer. This particular layer is called drainage layer. You have to cover this drainage layer with some kind of dry organic material. Now, what can you use as a dry organic material? I have these coconut coir. This is the coconut fiber. When you get the coconut from the vendor, don't ask him to throw away the fiber. You can get this coconut fiber from him, and this is a wonderful medium that you can put as the base to cover these bricks. Right now, see, I'm using this, and so this creates a nice matte, nice buffer layer. If you don't have coconut fiber, which will be surprising in India, you can also use the dry leaves. See, these are the dry fallen leaves from a garden. So if you have a big tree, there will always be a fallen leaf. You can put that also. So either of these, I'm not saying you are supposed to put both, but you can put either the coconut coir or the dry leaf like this. Now we need to look at the potting mixture. What kind of soil are we supposed to put in it? Now first, before we see the potting mixture, I would like to show you some stuff here. Let's see what. Now, if you see, there are different soil-like things right over here. Now, this is the garden soil. This is the actual red soil, the garden soil, also called as loamy soil. Now, in Mumbai, we get it reddish colored. You may get brown also, that's okay. Even if it's a little darker, that's okay. But this is a very typical garden soil. So soil is there. Then I have the coco peat again. The same coco peat that I actually use for seed sowing. For seed sowing, I use 100% coco peat. Now here is the coco peat, which is just one of the ingredients. Now I have interesting manures, organic fertilizers over here. As I have plastic pots don't damage the plants. Plastic pots don't damage the plants that we know of. Okay. I am not advocating plastic, obviously. Plastic is something, but rather than throwing it away, or you can recycle it. Like these containers you see, this is a recyclable plastic. So once it's broken, I can send it back to the vendor. Now, here is a very dark organic material, as you can see here. This very dark, soggy organic material is actually vermicompost. Kechuo ka khad, gandul khat. So this is the compost which is derived from by decomposition done by earthworms. Then I have this dryish looking organic material. This is actually homemade biocompost, where you convert your kitchen waste, home kitchen waste, into compost, and that's where you get the homemade biocompost. And I also have right over here is cow dung manure. This is a cow manure. So this is a well decomposed cow manure. Please understand, many people make a mistake of bringing fresh cow dung, or many people bring dry cow dung. None of the cow dung is a manure. Unless the cow manure is decomposed, it's not a manure. Okay, so you have the cow manure. So some of these organic manures that I have with me. Coco peat is obviously not a manure. Please understand. Coco peat is a growing medium. It's a soil conditioner, and it is mixed very nicely with all kinds of soil media. And coco peat makes your pot lightweight. So when you use coco peat, if you use only soil, that will make your pot really heavy, and eventually soil is going to become really stony, very thick, and difficult to manure with. Okay, so these are some of the media that I just showed you. Now I would show you exactly what we are going to use for this particular container. Okay, so I have this potting mixture. So this is the ready to use potting mixture. It's looking dry because I have prepared it much earlier. But as you can see here in this potting mixture, there is 2 parts soil, 1 part coco peat, and 1 part manure. Any manure. So whether you use vermicompost or cow manure or the home compost, any organic manure. Okay, so 2 parts soil, 1 part coco peat, and 1 part manure. That's what I have used. It's all mixed together, and I'm going to put it in this pot. Now, when you are gardening, it's always recommended to use proper gardening tools. Okay, you do get the hand tools like this, so you want to use that, because I have seen a lot of gardeners using spoons from kitchen, screwdrivers, and all such kind of other jugaad tools. You can actually get the good gardening tools from online. There are a lot of online sources also. There are a lot of online gardening shops. Now this soil is really dry, which is okay. It's not mandatory to make your soil wet before you use it for planting. So as long as it has good water holding capacity. Okay, so here is my potting mixture. Now any seedling that I have ready with me, I can do the potting right now. So let me check, what do I have. I do have the seedling of rosemary with me. Now here is the rosemary. Now rosemary is a herb. It's an aromatic herb. Obviously, it's not a ornamental plant. Many people find it very difficult to grow rosemary. I also find it very difficult. And in fact, this I had grown in winter season, sown the seeds. If you sow 10-15 seeds of rosemary, 3 to 4 will germinate, and only one of the plants will grow. Okay, so the success rate is fairly low. I understand that. So when you want to transplant any seedling into a pot. First, you want to break the poly bag in which it is grown with the scissors, and then you want to tear up the poly bag, and you want to hold on. You want to hold the entire root ball. Okay, whatever soil falls down, it's okay. Usually, nursery soil is soggy and really sticky, which is fine. That particular soil is used for mass production. Now you are able to hold this much, and now appropriate size hole you can have to make in the base center, and there you go. Repot the rosemary around the plant. It's important that I have not handled. You don't want to handle the roots. Want to handle the root ball. You want to handle the soil, but you do not want to handle the roots. Touch the roots. Okay, and okay. So now really important activity, because immediately after transplantation, also we need to water. Okay, now if you see, I have purposely kept plenty of room here, almost 8 to 10 centimeter, because as the plant grows, I want the additional room to put more soil. So as the plant starts to grow, I can add more manure, add more soil, and I recommend all of you don't use any chemical fertilizer. Always use bulk organic manure. So initially when you do the plantation, keep some room for that. Okay. Now for a plant pot as big as this and a plant as big as this, after potting, you need to water. Now for today, for this particular plant to water, I am using a watering can. Okay. Initially for those cups, for that box, I use the sprayer. The sprayer would generate mist. Now for a pot, sprayer is not enough. Okay, you need to water your pot as if the water is coming out in the form of shower. Okay, shower like watering you must do. So carefully, slowly around the plant, you want to water it. First make a flood. Let this water settle down, because first watering should be always done abundantly. Let the water settle down, let it go down, and then and again, once the water is gone, you need to give another shower. Okay, and any plant, whether it's a shade loving plant or semi shade loving plant or sun loving plant, after potting for the first time, first couple of days, you want to keep this plant in shade. Don't expose this plant to sunlight immediately after transplantation. There is a certain thing which is called as transplantation shock. Okay, so there is a 20 to 30% chance that after transplantation your plant may die, or it may shed its leaves. So to avoid a transplantation shock, after transplanting, you need to keep it in the shade for first 2 days, then expose it to some sunlight, or you can keep it in the semi shade after for a week or so, and then you can keep it in the full sunlight if the plant requires and desires the full sunlight. Okay, so this is one activity of the potting that I have done. Now following this particular thing, let me just prepare for the next activity. Okay, Now, what do I have here? I have an old plant with soil, old soil. Okay, some weeds growing. Now, what to do? Now, this is my old jasmine. In last 2 seasons ago, I had grown it this plant by layering method, serpentine layering method. Uh, Now, this is what you should do in the summer season for all your pre-existing plants, the plants that you already have. You want to protect these plants from summer because we have observed that many of these plants, they're growing very nicely throughout the year, but in summer something happens and they cease to go, or many of the plants die. So to avoid that, what we want to do? First of all, you need to loosen up the soil. Okay, you need to loosen up the soil. Now, I have used the potting mixture. That's why I am able to loosen it up pretty fast. You can see that I am able to loosen it up very fast. Sometimes, if you have used some ordinary soil, you will find incredibly difficult even to break it. Or if you water it too much, it becomes really soggy, really sticky, muddy. And so, because that's why the potting mixture like this with the soil, coco peat, and manure in appropriate combination is the best thing that you can put. Now I am further going to add additional soil, potting soil around the plant. Now this is also a time when you can provide additional compost, vermicompost, or cow manure also. Okay, but I believe this particular plant requires more soil, because the earlier, just like the transplantation that I have shown, I had also kept the space for this. Now is the time to fill up that space. So additional potting mixture has been provided. Now, summer, of all the summer activities, one of the extremely important summer activities that we are supposed to do is called as mulching. Now, mulching, what is mulching basically? You have to water your plants again and again in summer season. To avoid the loss of watering, you need to cover your potting soil. Particularly, this is true for the plants that are more exposed to sunlight, rather the soil which is more exposed to sunlight. Now, mulching you can do by a lot of materials. Just like initially I had shown, you can use the coconut fiber for mulching. It is the best mulch that you can use. Or you can use the dry leaves for mulching. This is also a good mulch. It will add a humus. But but what I like to use actually for mulching is the garden moss. This is the dry moss or a garden moss. Now this you can actually spread around. Now this is the dead moss. It's a sphagnum moss. Generally, when you get the moss sticks to grow the money plants and others, this is what you should do to your flowering plants and the pots that are exposed to sunlight in this season. For these 3 months at least, you need to cover them up like this. So garden moss gives a very nice bed, nice mulch, and it acts like a sponge. It acts like a sponge. So when I spray water on the garden moss, you can see here, when I spray water on the moss, it absorbs that water very nicely. As a sponge, it has a capacity to absorb 20 times more water than its weight. Okay, so I recommend to do such kind of mulching and keep the moss wet. Now on the mulch only, you can water. You can do the regular watering also, like you can see this. On the mulch only you can do that. But because of mulching, the evaporation rate which is significantly lowered, the pot will remain cool, the soil will remain cool, roots will be pretty happy. And another important thing which will happen is, because of the cover, the microorganisms, the beneficial, healthy microorganisms will start to grow in the soil, and they will generate more and more humus with the help of this moss. Okay, so mulching is something which is very is a lifesaver for plants, particularly in the this particular season, in the summer season. Okay, let me prepare for the next part. Yes. So you may say that no, mulching is not looking that great. It's making the plants ugly and so on. Then if you have such kind of indoor plants, you can mulch the pots. Now, indoor plants obviously are away from sunlight, and they should not be watered that much. But just in case, if they are kept in along with other plants, one thing you can do is you can use these pebbles, pebbles and stones, decorative pebbles and stones for the mulching purpose. So simply want to put the stones on the soil and spread them around. They will also do the job of water. Here you go. You can see that. So the most of the indoor plant soil, you can actually cover it with the decorative mulching. Outside also you can do that, but outside pots, please remember, birds are going to come and pick on your stones. Okay, that is one thing that may happen if you don't have the appropriate protection. And for the other plants, for the plants like cacti and succulents, you can see here the cacti and succulents. Now, cacti and succulents, you will see. So this is this one had been sown by seed. This particular adenium. Adenium is a flowering plant now. At this moment, it is producing new buds. Okay. Adenium is a succulent, flowering succulent, and this is the cactus. All are being grown in a very different looking potting mixture. You will see. You can see here. This potting mixture, if you want to grow, because one of the aspects of the exhibitions is the good looking, alien looking, these cacti and succulents. If you want to grow these cacti and succulents, these miniature versions, in the city, in your apartment, and many Mumbaikars have complained that whenever I buy cactus and succulent, they die. Potting mixture is very important for cacti and succulent. You see here, the potting mixture of cacti and succulent does not contain any soil. There is no soil. It also does not contain any coco peat. So no soil and no coco peat. The potting mixture of cacti succulent is a sand based. So there is plenty and plenty of sand, river sand, and you can see the material like charcoal, broken bricks, and manure. So you can put compost, vermicompost, any other organic manure in that every 3 months, because they are not heavy feeders. Cacti and succulents are not heavy feeders. So every 3 months you can add some organic manure and charcoal, broken bricks, sand, such kind of anything that whenever you water it, the water simply drains out fast. That is the kind of material that you want to use. Okay. So for cacti succulent, don't you may want to increase the watering. So in summer, maybe once a week. Once a week you can water. In winter, we water every 15 days. In monsoon, maybe we don't water, or we do water once a month, like that. Okay. But this season, 3 to 4 times a month, you can arrange your watering schedule accordingly. And now, many of you will be having some older plants with you. Now, what to do with such plants that have already done with the flowering? Now, you can see here, I have this couple of flowering plants. This is some dianthus pink, and this is the tornia. What you want to do with your old flowering plants, if you want to grow them more long lasting, all dry flowers that are growing should be removed. Okay, you want to remove the dry flowers. You can pinch them off. you can get, if you are able to do it with your finger, you can do that. Never allow the old flowers to stay on plants for too long. Okay, this will extend the life of your plant. Now, because if it's annual, eventually it is going to finish its life cycle. But extending, so if we, here also I have, if I have older plants, I have removed the buds. If it's a aster family member, you may also get seeds from that plant as well. So you want to be keeping such flowering plants as much as you can, but older leaves and older flowers in particular should be removed. Once the flower is dry, it is fading away, you can simply remove that. So that is one thing that you can do as a gardener. And for summer, one important activity you need to do is bring most of your plants together. You want to bring whatever plants you have. It will be good idea to bring them all together, make the closer group of plants, because what happens is that increases the humidity. Now, most gardeners obviously do advise, for as I have advised, the watering the soil. Okay. Now, before I have say something more, I would like to ask the administrators if we do have some more time, or we have the Q&A to start with. Yes, I'm just waiting.
We do have some more time, 10-15 minutes.
All right. Okay. So one of the activities as summer refreshing activities that you can do is you want to give your plants a bath. Now, we do water the pots, obviously, but how about giving your plants a bath? And how to do that? Now, giving the plants a bath will get rid of the dust which is there on the plant, dust particles. It helps them to do better photosynthesis. Their stomata, the plant's stomata will open up, and insect attack will be reduced. How the insect attack will be reduced? We'll see that. So I have this sprayer. I am using a different sprayer for plant bath. I use the different sprayer for the watering purpose because in this particular sprayer, I'm going to put something. Now I have actually liquid organic soap. I have a liquid organic soap. You can use basically any soap, okay? Simply just couple of these things, pressings. So maybe 3-4 drops of soap that I have put. By the way, there is such thing as plant shampoo. Also, in the garden centers, you get plant shampoo. If you are able to get that, you can use plant shampoo. You can use the regular soap, hand wash soap as well. So what now, if your garden is infested, there is infestation of some insects on it, along with this soap, you can also put neem oil. Okay, 10 ml of neem oil, which is the neem ke seeds ka tel oil hota hai. That oil you can put. Neem oil will emulsify very nicely with the soap. Currently on my plants, there is no insect infection. I just want to keep them fresh, and mostly I want to keep the insects at bay. So that's why I am simply giving it a bath. Now, to give them the plant bath, this thing, I am using the water as a spray again. You can see, I'm using the water as a spray again. And this time I'm not aiming at the soil, instead I'm aiming at the leaves. Okay, you can aim at the leaves. And this is not a daily activity. Watering, actual regular watering, you want to do every day. Every morning, 8 o'clock, before 8 o'clock, you want to water your plants. If your plants are out in the sun, probably again in the evening after 6 o'clock, you may want to water your plants again. But the one activity that I'm doing right now, when I'm giving them a bath, soapy water bath, this you want to do only once a week. Once a week or even every 15 days you do. In the summer, once a week, a soapy water bath will be great. Now, in this particular season, you don't want to be doing any kind of heavy pruning. Pruning is one activity which you want to save for the end of the season, end of the monsoon, end of the summer season, before it starts to rain. That is the time when you can take a pruning shear or a secateur and you can actually prune your plants. But otherwise, this is only if some diseased, dead and diseased branches are there. Only if there is some infestation, you can do the pruning. Otherwise, pruning is not recommended right now at this point. So mulching is important. Giving your plants a bath is important. Watering every day before 8 o'clock is important. And delaying the potting and repotting activities. So pruning, potting and repotting can be done at the end of the season rather than at the beginning of the season. Okay. Now let me also prepare for something more. While I have the plants, you will be having a lot of soil, but you must prepare your own compost as well. Okay. Now, for home composting, now remember one thing, everyone. Composting is a big topic and it does require a lot of, it's a topic of another workshop altogether. But for very brief, I would like to tell you that you can pick a container like this for composting. Your compost basket should have holes all over. It should be aerated. That is the most important thing. So if you pick a bucket for composting, you will have to make holes to that bucket with the help of the screwdriver or hot screwdriver. But I am using such kind of basket because it is already having plenty of holes and there is no need to make holes from my side. But at the bottom, you can see here, at the bottom of your container also, it's important that we make the holes. Okay. At the bottom of the container also, we have to make the holes. So aeration, you want to keep your compost basket at the maximum aeration. That is, otherwise it is going to sting or the unwanted guests are going to be there. Now I have two baskets because one basket is not enough. So let me just show you that also. I have another basket down there, which is doing its own composting. So composting is already happening down there. And this is the fresh one, which I am going to start a composting from now onwards. Okay. So just to start with very basic thing, just like the pot, you do want to cover the drain holes here also with the help of brick. Okay, so I have the bricks. Now, there are a lot of composting experts and they have very different composting techniques. Okay, there are some experts may claim that their technique is the best. I am not claiming to be expert of the composting here, but what I am recommending is anything that works for you. Anything that works for you. Your compost should be ready. Your home kitchen waste must be utilized so that anything, whatever your organic waste which you are producing from the vegetables and everything, you don't throw it away. You don't throw it away. You utilize it. And the main goal of this is the waste segregation. Waste segregation and appropriate use of organic waste. So obviously at the bottom layer, I am putting again some bricks only to cover the drain holes of the bottom, and the major layer that I can put at the bottom is the coconut shells or the coconut coir. Okay, so this I can put it at the just to cover it up, to cover the material. So I have plenty of coconut fiber over here as a baseline. Now many people like to put some potting mixtures or some kind of potting media at the base, which is also okay. So you can use the ready to use potting soil. So I have this potting soil with me, which I had prepared. This potting soil also I can put at the base of it, and you can just to give it a head start, whatever earlier compost, the older compost that I have, that also I can put. Okay, now older compost I had prepared with the help of lot of coco peat or coconut fiber was used. Basically, you want to create a nice base line, a nice base to start putting your kitchen waste. So what you can do is, because now this may take some time, but what you can do is all the wet waste. So this is my garden waste. I had grown some plants and I have cut some roots of the plants. So that is a garden waste. So any wet waste of a garden also can go directly into compost. Okay. So there are some, you can see some leaves, some roots, some sprouts, unused sprouts, and root fiber which I had grown from the microgreens. All can be put. Okay. All can be put in that. And you just want to spread now. So you can basically keep on adding your kitchen waste, cut vegetables. You will need to cut down. So if you are using bigger material, you can take a pair of scissors and cut them down. Obviously, you will have to take a bigger scissor. And if you find that your compost is too soggy, or if it is smelling, after putting kitchen waste, if you want to avoid the smell, you do want to put some dry leaves also. So these dry leaves, you can be broken down, and you can really break them down and cover your waste. So every time you put your kitchen waste in your compost, you want to dry it up, even it up with the dry leaves. Okay. Now, obviously, there is terminology. There are the browns and the greens and everything. But my point is, home composting is very much possible like that. You can produce plenty of compost in the home. You may not want to buy any manure from outside. And this is a nice way of waste segregation. And just to keep the microorganisms alive, to keep them intact, you can spray some water on it. So spraying water is important. You can take a stick and nicely mix it up. So mixing it up with the stick is important. Yeah, so daily you want to do it. This is what you want to do. Put the kitchen waste, put the dry waste, spray the water, and mix it up. That's about it. So our main objective should not have bad smell. There should not be too many maggots or any one particular insect should not dominate. And mostly there should not be fruit flies. That's the only thing. So if you follow the dry and wet combo nicely, there will not be any fruit flies also. Another thing I would like to show you, that some plants like this plant you can see here can get the parasitic plants growing on it, like this yellow threads you may get if you have a lot of indoor plants. So sometimes they come from nursery. Now what many people do is they remove these parasitic plants from your ornamental plants and just throw it away. Throwing it away again, the parasite will come back. Wherever you throw it, it will come back. this appropriate place for this parasitic plant, this yellow cuscuta plant, is the compost basket. You can simply put it back to for the composting where it will decompose. Okay, so anything you clip, anything you cut, or anything you have, even if you have some extra additional soil, you can keep on putting it in the compost basket, right? And you will compost. Just now I had shown you last season, in the lockdown season also, I had made plenty of compost out of it. Okay, so we are open for the question answers. Before that, just as a fun activity, I would like to show you something that I have made in the previous lockdown. This is my bottle garden. This is something that you can experiment with. This is a bottle garden where a couple of plants are growing. It's a Syngonium bottle. This is basically a ketchup bottle. Okay, let's be more careful. So let me just keep my compost basket away. Okay, and yes. So you can see in this bottle there are some sand at the base and everything, and you will see that a particular plant is growing inside. An interesting thing I would like to tell you about this bottle garden is that I had made it in the month of May in 2020, in the lockdown in 2020 May. So it's March now. So it's been 10 months. It's been 10 months that I have not watered this plant at all. I have not opened this cork or the cap, and I had watered it in the around 15th May, mid-May, and you will see the plant is looking very nice. In fact, it has a neighbor. It's a neighbor weed, which is unwanted plant. But I have not removed it because so far it is not bothering the main Syngonium plant. So this is quite, I find such kind of, you will find also such kind of things fascinating. Now, this is a very basic ketchup bottle. Okay. So this teaches a lot about nature, the earth cycles, because it's been 10 months I have not watered it at all. So water cycle is happening on its own. You will see, if we have a very closer look, there will be some water droplets always at the inner side of the glass, and these droplets slowly coming down and making its own. So you can also make such kind of bottle gardens and just to experiment, just to have fun with, because obviously you're going to have such kind of ornamental plants, some of these indoor plants, and many of these indoor plants come with the miniature versions also, and these miniature version plants can be grown into bottle garden. It's just like I have this very old terrarium which has revived, which almost died. It had almost died, but it has revived, which is having a fern in it, and is the earth star plant in it. Now this is also a bottle. It's a glass. A plant is growing inside a glass, but this one is obviously open. And since this is an open terrarium, it's important that you spray. Okay, so I have to spray water in this. In the bottle garden, no, it's been 10 months I have not watered, and it is not showing any sign of dehydration. But this particular, when open terrarium you make, yes, obviously, you need to spray water. So you can have fun with plants. You can do any kind of experiments. You can grow plants in the hanging baskets. You can grow some certain plant species like this one. It is not yet at the flower. This is the Jamaican spike. Now, this particular plant is called as Jamaican spike. Now, if you grow Jamaican spike in your window, if it gets some sunlight in the morning, particularly, it will attract plenty of butterflies. Okay, if you are around, because in and around is always some greenery. You can see from outside from my balcony. There's greenery down there. So some plants have the knack of attracting. So because a garden should not be something which is only for you. It's not something our own, yes, private space, but it cannot be isolated. There are going to be visitors. Some visitors could be bad visitors like insects and fungal pests. That time you need to spray neem oil. That time you need to spray for natural pesticides like Dashaparni or Neem Astra, Brahmastra. There are a lot of neem-based natural homemade insecticides. But then there are pollinators. There will be insects. There will be butterflies, and there will be birds, small sunbirds, and tailor birds, and bulbuls. They are going to visit your garden. So you need to create a space which is wild enough so that even the visitors will be happy, particularly in this summer season. Yes. So there is plenty of stuff actually. So we are actually open for questions. Any questions you can ask, we'll answer.
Yes, sir. There are a few questions in the chat box. I'll read it out. How can we use marigold dried flowers for plantation?
So marigold dry flowers often have germinated seeds in them. Okay, so it's called germinated embryo. They have embryo. Some hybrids don't, but if it's a desi marigold, okay, desi jhendu, it will have the germinated seeds. So you need to let it dry completely. No sun drying, air drying. Let it dry completely in the air. And once it is completely dry, you can simply, with your help of your hand, you can split it up. You will be able to see the seeds like this, even from the dry marigold. From the dry marigold, when you keep it for drying, the seeds will separate themselves from the petals, and you will be able to sow them. Yes.
The next one is, if we are planting in an earthen pot, do we still have to add bricks?
If you're planting in the earthen pot, then it's mostly earthen pots have single hole in the center, drainage hole. Your plastic pots have too many holes. So basically, if you are using earthen pot, then very few pieces of bricks or stones or old broken earthen pots only to cover that hole, that single drain hole. Yeah. So the thick layer of bricks that I have made just now is not required in the earthen pot, right?
Okay. The next is, do plastic pots damage the plant?
I think I did answer during the session. Now, if you go by research, just like plastic takes millions of years to decompose, it may take thousands of years or hundreds of years for plastic to damage the plants also, maybe. But in the gardening time scale or human time scale, we are anyhow surrounded by plastic. We drink water from plastic bottles and we have plastic all over. Similarly, they are there. So there is no direct harm recorded. Yes.
Okay. The next one is Coco Pit easily available with local gardeners?
Yeah, yes. Your Coco Pit is very easily available. You can, from online places like ugao.com or even from my website, mynatureFirst.com, you can get Coco Pit. And even if you go locally, in any local nursery, any agro center, garden center, or local nursery, you will get Coco Pit. So it's pretty easily available.
Okay. Purvi asks, please suggest some plants and vegetables easy to grow for beginners.
For
beginners.
For beginners, okay. So basically, most of the indoor plants you can grow, no issues. As a beginner, you can easily grow chili. Here I have some couple of chili seedlings that I am growing in the grow bags. So as a beginner, you can have chili, the choli, the cowpeas. Cowpeas are easy to grow for beginners. Karela, you can very easily grow. Pudina and lot of other spice plants. So many plants that you have to attempt, okay? And you grow more and more plants and you won't be a beginner anymore.
What particular kitchen waste should be added to compost?
In the compost, literally, if you are able to break it down, you can literally put anything. Only thing you don't want to put in your home compost is highly cooked food, oily food, or a lot of masala or that kind of thing you don't want to put. Even remains of rice or can be added, but too much cooked food should not be added in the home compost. If your compost pit is outside, if you are doing it outside, literally you can put anything. Okay, and if you want to put non-vegetarian stuff, then you want to be really expert, so that you doesn't have the bad smell. Eggshells, yes, go ahead. Vegetable and fruit remains, go ahead. And remember one thing, very important thing. Mostly there are not going to be any earthworms in your home compost, because it heats up. It's an exothermic reaction which earthworms avoid. If you are making a wormy compost, then that's a different story, where you should not add the lime, citric acid, anything which is sour. Okay, but for composting, not many rules as such. Yes.
Okay. Dr. Barkha Rathi asks, what kinds of vegetables can she grow in her apartment kitchen where there is no sunlight?
If there is no sunlight, uh, I would request you to, no sunlight, don't grow vegetables. You can grow aromatic plants. You can grow the lemongrass and the masala. You can see this spice here, the masala plants like dalchini and the cinnamon and all the tej patta and all that. You can grow pan, but no sunlight, no vegetables. If it is getting some sunlight, little bit of sunlight in the morning, little bit of sunlight in the evening, your major focus should be on growing uh, leafy vegetables like spinach, coriander, amaranth, anything that has leafy qualities, the leafy vegetable, yes, it will grow very nicely. Beetroot will grow very nicely even in the less sunlight. Karela will grow. Yeah.
Okay. So for plantation of methi seeds, can we use the seeds from our kitchen or special seeds have to be used?
Actually, you do get special seeds for methi, which are meant for sowing purpose only. But guess what? The methi in your kitchen is surprisingly has a higher germination rate. You can use that also. That is not the case with dhania or coriander in your kitchen. Poor germination rate. Coriander, which is meant for sowing purpose, very good.
Sunita asks, solution for millibugs.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, the thing that I just did just right now, giving your plants a water bath, particularly with the help of soapy water. Millibugs don't like the water. So if you give your plants a bath, millibugs hate it. So if you do this activity on particularly on a hibiscus plant, and millibugs will disappear. There is a product which is called as Nemastra. That if infestation is too strong, you can use Nemastra. Another thing you can do is keep the insects at bay, like keep the ants away. If there are too many ants, there will be millibugs also. Yes.
Okay, so the last question is, compost in a bucket takes how many days to get final compost?
It depends on the season. So actually in the summer season, it happens very fast. So usually 35 to 40 days, it starts to give you some old smaller particles start becoming compost. In rainy season, it happens very fast. So let's say on an average, it takes around 40 to 45 days.
Okay. That's with all the questions.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Harshad sir, for an enlightening and entertaining session
on home gardening. The knowledge that you shared during the session was both fascinating and timely. We at FOT would look forward to have a talk with you in the real space and getting to know more about the home gardening. We hope that you have enjoyed chatting with the students and other members and will consider returning to this space in future. Also, I would like to thank Xavier's FOT team and the teachers for bringing this session together and making it a success. Thank you, sir, once again for taking out your time to be here.
Thank you. I request participants to visit me on mynatureFirst.com. www.mynatureFirst.com. Thank you.
Also, do not forget to sign up for the upcoming community urban farming session with Safri